Okay, now with the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon being 6 days away at the time of this recording, I thought it would be fun and a really good idea to actually give my last theories and speculation about the show, and based off what the directors and the producers actually told us about this show. So stay tuned. And now, before we actually get into the video, I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And, you know, we have a goal in mind for 5,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to be part of this new goal of 5,000 subscribers, please like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the video. Thank you. And now first, let's actually get into the claims that people think that this is a copy of The Last of Us. And, you know, we could see a lot of similarities between this show and The Last of Us, and I have mentioned it in my previous video about this show that, you know, the story of the show is a lot like The Last of Us. But Greg Nicotero actually did say that this isn't a copy of The Last of Us and it's totally original. But again, like, you know, you could see some similarities to The Last of Us, and me personally, like, you know, I like The Walking Dead more than The Last of Us. You know, it's just my personal opinion, right? And I really don't care if they copy it or not. But at the end of the day, like, you know, The Walking Dead is so iconic, and, you know, just as, like, it actually did revive, like, the zombie franchise in like, single-handedly back in 2010. So again, like, where people actually say it's a straight copy of The Last of Us, like, you know, you could see the similarities, but, you know, again, it's not, I guess it's not intended to be a copy of The Last of Us. And the reason why people are even saying it's a copy of The Last of Us is because Daryl is actually on a mission to actually deliver this child to some sort of lab or something like that for the future of humanity. And, you know, this child is named Laurent, right? And apparently, like, he does have, like, you know, something inside of him that, like, you know, is like, you know, the salvation of humanity, and it's most likely to be immunity or some sort of cure. But personally, I think it's pretty weird for a random kid in France to actually have the cure, and, you know, just Daryl just stumbling upon this child out of nowhere. And, you know, it's a little weird. But again, like, you know, almost like any character having, like, immunity or a cure in this show does seem weird, right? For example, like, a lot of people think that Rick Grimes might have a cure. A lot of people think that Daryl might have the cure, like, you know, immunity. And, you know, if you think about a cure in a show that's been going on for like 10 years, like a franchise that's been going on for like 10 years, it seems pretty weird that, like, just randomly a character would have a cure and immunity and then they would just solve everything all at once. But with this show actually having a season 2, and, you know, them continuing this story, and, you know, with all the spin-offs and, you know, potential crossovers, I don't think that Laurent actually does have the cure. And now, what is so special about Laurent, right? You know, that's up for debate if he does not have the cure, but, you know, all signs point towards this direction of Laurent actually having the cure. But again, like, you know, as I said before, with the season 2 and all of that, it doesn't seem likely. So what could this child have? Comment down what you guys think, right? Like, anything except for a cure, right? You know, I would love to hear your guys' ideas. Me personally, I can't really come up with anything that this child might have that's so special. Probably like some information, or, you know, some sort of video recording of, like, you know, Primrose and Violet that this child only has. Or he's probably a child of one of those scientist groups, Primrose and Violet, that are actually in the post-credit scene of World Beyond. So again, this child could be important for that, right? And, you know, the main villain of this show, Cauldron, could be after this child because he could potentially be the son of one of those scientists members, right? And, you know, it's actually an interesting concept to think that if he is the child of one of those scientists, they could have injected him with some sort of cure or vaccine. So that's why everybody is after him, and he's the lone child that actually has that in his blood. And now let's actually get into the variant walkers, and, you know, this is probably the most exciting concept about this show. And, you know, I've talked about this a lot in my other videos, but, you know, with the show being a week away, like, you know, I really want to talk about it again because it's just a very exciting concept to me. First of all, let's get into those walkers that they actually showed in like the preview of the show, right? Like the first 10 minutes of the show that was leaked, and then they actually released it officially. And we do see walkers with acidic blood, right? Like, you know, like acidic skin, right? We could actually see them, like, you know, touching Daryl, and, you know, his arm burns. And also when Daryl actually does cut them, like, you know, their blood actually is acidic, right? It starts, like, you know, melting the things. So again, like, you know, these variant walkers are like a breath of fresh air, right? You know, it's really cool seeing that, like, you know, they, like, this time around Daryl won't just be going around killing walkers left and right without, like, you know, thinking twice. he will actually have to come up with a plan to even kill one walker, or like, you know, get some sort of like suit, right? But again, like, you know, in the apocalypse, you can't really make an acidic proof suit. I could be wrong on that, but again, like, you know, just seeing Daryl being more cautious about killing these walkers is a very exciting concept to think about. And now let's get into the walkers I am most excited about, and you know, this is the variant that I've been wanting to see for such a long time, and those variants are running walkers. And again, like, we do see running walkers in France, right, in the post-credit scene of World Beyond, so it's very likely we will see running walkers in the show. And also in the trailer that they released for this show, there is some proof that, you know, running walkers are in the show, right? Because we actually do see, like, you know, when Daryl is blowing up like this lab or base, and then there's a walker that actually runs behind him, and for a split second we do see that walker slide, which does indicate that this walker was running after Daryl. And again, like, you know, Daryl, like, you know, he's running away from this walker, right? You know, again, walkers are slow, right? And you know, they are not much of a, like, you know, threat to the group now. And again, like, you know, with the lab blowing up and all that, you know, he could be running because of that. But again, just one walker running after Daryl, and potentially these running walkers being very durable, it's very cool to see that Daryl would have to, like, you know, face off against two different types of walkers alone, and it's just so exciting seeing that. And now let's actually get into the main villain of this show, which is Cauldron. And again, there's some speculation going around for this character, like, you know, what could his intentions be and stuff like that. But I personally do believe that he is one of those people that are actually going around and killing the scientist groups from World Beyond. We do see that at the end of World Beyond, where a person actually does come and shoots the scientist in the head, and she is part of Primrose and Violet, evidently the people that actually started the virus. And again, like, you know, Cauldron could be part of that group. That group could be much larger, and it actually does support the idea if Laurent actually does have a cure and Cauldron could be after him. And now let's actually get into why Daryl is in France in the first place. And you know, this is still unexplained, right? And you know, there's a lot of theories going around, and you know, I have said in my previous video that Daryl is looking for Rick, of course, right? And you know, he probably came into contact with the CRM, they knocked him out, and then, you know, I guess they shipped him off. But again, like, you know, the boat is upside down and he's laying on the boat. So again, like, you know, he could have gotten into some sort of conflict while at sea, but why would he even, like, you know, use the boat in the first place? Probably, like, you know, a faster way to get to, like, a CRM base or whatever, and then, like, you know, he gets into some sort of conflict, and then that's where he gets knocked out, and, you know, he floats to France. But again, like, you know, Daryl being, like, you know, unconscious for that long is pretty it's pretty weird, right? You know, thinking about, like, you know, Daryl being like, you know, on a boat at the middle of sea, and you know, the boat's being upside down, and then he's floating to France. Like, you know, that's a very long boat ride. And you know, just Daryl not waking up from that, it seems pretty weird. So again, like, you know, this could definitely mean that Daryl probably floated to his CRM base, and then they knocked him out and then shipped him back off. But again, like, you know, a person like Daryl Dixon, right, you know, a very strong character like that, it's very weird for the CRM just not to take him in general, right? So again, like, you know, it could be the CRM, it can't be the CRM, it could just be a couple of raiders in the start that knock him out, who knows. And now I actually do believe that we won't know how Daryl actually got to France, like who actually made him unconscious. All we know is that he was unconscious and he was on the boat floating to France. Now I think that we will get that reveal by the end of the season, right? If they want to do a whole big CRM reveal that the CRM are actually behind this, or like some other group, right? Or if Cauldron is actually behind this, if he's like, you know, like people from his group are actually behind this and they are the ones that actually did knock out Daryl, who knows? But I do believe that we won't get a full explanation in episode 1. It will be in parts as the season goes on. And now that's it for today's video. I would like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for the growth. And we have a goal in mind for 5,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to be part of this journey to 5,000 subscribers, please like, share, and subscribe. And on a side note, you know, like if you guys want me to do like, you know, like an episode breakdown for this show as the episodes come out, please comment down if that's something you guys would like to see. Because of course I'll be watching the show as the episodes come out, so if you guys want to see episode breakdowns and reviews, please comment down if that's something you guys would like to see, because I would actually really enjoy making that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.